Joss Whedon hates Captain America. Please allow me to explain. When the film starts, he gets an okay introduction, but it's ultimately quite shallow. We go from him learning that he's in the future, straight to him getting new missions from S.H.I.E.L.D. The film would greatly benefit from learning more about his perspective on the new world, what his thoughts are on the technology and culture, how he feels about losing his old life and other things of that nature. This eventually gets addressed in Winter Soldier, but that doesn't retroactively save this film from lacking content. A severely missed opportunity is giving us Captain America's first impressions of Tony Stark. Steve and Howard Stark were once very close, and Tony could serve as the gateway that would connect Steve from the old world to this new one. Instead, their introductions are relatively glossed over, with their first conversations being largely about their mission. It would be nice to see Cap's reaction to just how far Stark Industries progressed, and how he views Tony when compared to Howard. But no, instead of all that, we get constant references to the idea that he's dumb because he's old.
It seems to run on some form of electricity.
When he's not that thing, though, guy's like a Stephen Hawking. He's like a smart person.
It may be magical, but it works an awful lot like a Hydra weapon.
I don't know about that.
Polarity long enough to disengage maglev, and that should...
Speak English!
Steve, tell me none of this smells a little funky, do you?
Monkeys. Do not understand.
I do. I understood that reference.
And this is just an aside, but does anyone know what Captain America means when he says this line?
I went under. The world was at war. I wake up, they say we won. They didn't say what we lost.
I've seen this film about 800 times, and I could never figure it out. I assume he's referring to World War II, but we did win that. By we lost, does he mean that there's still problems in the world? Later on, we find out that Hydra still exists, but at this point in the MCU, for all we know, they've been defeated. In any case, this line comes off as a pretty glass-half-empty response towards winning World War II. That whole event was kind of a big deal, and it was very hard, and he should know this. It's understandable if he's depressed about getting frozen, but if he should find levity anywhere, it should be in learning that his and everyone else's sacrifices during the war were not in vain. You would think that he would be a little bit more grateful and relieved. This is just an odd line in general. Joss, why did you write this? Captain America's first fight scene is his battle with Loki. And I'll address the elephant in the room right away. This costume is atrocious. The way it conforms to Chris Evans' body makes him look small. It doesn't help that he has large, puffy gloves and boots, plus this oversized rubber helmet that connects to a cloth costume. And why didn't they include a backside? Did they not think he would turn around? Tangent aside, Loki and Cap have a fight, and it's a bit of a struggle for him. That's all well and good, but then Iron Man suddenly appears, and Loki surrenders after taking just one hit from him. Granted, it was Loki's plan to surrender, but that's beside the point. The way the fight is oriented makes Cap seem like a small fish in a large pond. Seeing him roll around and struggle so much seems kinda lame when compared to Iron Man, who just shows up and wins like it's nothing. This issue is made doubly apparent in the next fight scene that follows. Thor arrives to capture Loki, and Iron Man pursues him to do battle. When Cap tries to follow, Black Widow recommends that he stays behind because she thinks that he's too weak to help.
I'd sit this one out, Cap.
I don't see how I can.
These guys come from legend. They're basically gods.
This scene is also repeated in Age of Ultron.
Well, he's definitely unhappy. I'm gonna try and keep him that way.
You're not a match for him, Cap.
Thanks, partner.
When Captain America finally enters the fight, he uses his signature shield throw straight to the faces of Thor and Iron Man, and it literally has no effect on either of them. They just seem mildly annoyed. He tells them to stop fighting, and Thor tries to kill him for it. When we get to the scenes in the helicarrier, Captain America and Tony Stark are constantly arguing with each other. You would think that they'd have some semblance of respect for one another due to Cap's history with Howard Stark, but no. Tony is constantly making jokes at Cap's expense, and Cap backfires at him like an insecure child. I get that we want to foreshadow Civil War, but isn't the point of Civil War that they were friends before they were enemies? Furthermore, Stark pretty much always comes out on top in these arguments. He and Cap argue about S.H.I.E.L.D. hiding secrets, and Stark is right. Cap accuses Tony of being too self-centered to be a hero, and Tony proves him wrong by the end of the film. Tony claims everything special about Cap came out of a bottle, and based on this film alone, that's kind of an overstatement, if anything. But we'll get into more detail on that later. At one point, Cap starts to lose the verbal argument and resorts to physical threats, which seems like something that would be very much beneath someone like Captain America.
Put on the suit. Let's go a few rounds.
You would think that someone with a strong moral compass like him would be mature enough to settle a squabble with an ally without resorting to violence. Plus, I don't think anyone really thinks he would win that fight. Fast forward again, and Loki's minions attack the helicarrier. Let's do a rundown of everyone's mission during this scene. Fury and Hill defend the bridge, Thor battles the Hulk and tries to stop Loki. Black Widow escapes the Hulk and defeats Hawkeye. Iron Man repairs the helicarrier. So what is Captain America's big important mission?
See that red lever? It'll slow the rotors down long enough for me to get out. Stand by it. Wait for my word.
Stand next to the red lever until Iron Man tells him to flip it. And he can barely even do that one right. Why is he even here? Is there nothing more important we can think of for him? Are there not hundreds of trained grunts here who can do this same job and stand by the lever instead? This scene makes Captain America look like a complete fool. He is constantly being made to look stupid for not being tech savvy. He struggles way too hard to fight just 3 nameless henchmen, and one of them almost wins. Captain America fails to stand by the red lever because he slips off the helicarrier like a moron and is left dangling for his life. He is at the complete mercy of this nameless dude. Meanwhile, Fury and Hill are dropping the other henchmen left and right. Black Widow has an easier time fighting Hawkeye than Cap does fighting this random, irrelevant man. Cap doesn't even get to win in the end. Iron Man has to fly over and save the day. It should be noted that if you watch this film in isolation, you would barely know that Captain America is a super soldier. There's the punching bag scene, which is well and good, but aside from a few acrobatics, there isn't a whole lot that he does that Hawkeye or Black Widow couldn't also do. In fact, there's a few situations in which those two probably would have done better. Now, this next critique is entirely subjective, but...
Hey, you guys aren't authorized to be in here.
Son, just don't.
A guy that looks like this is not nearly imposing enough to refer to someone as son. Once the Chitauri battle begins, Captain America enters the fight, flailing helplessly in the Quinjet until it lands. Black Widow and Hawkeye cover Cap so he can perform this super cool Neato running sequence, all for the sake of talking to this rando cop who immediately disrespects him and questions his authority before some conveniently placed aliens show up for him to show off with.
Why the hell should I take orders from you?
But, like, of all the Avengers that should be common knowledge to the people in this world at this point in the story, Captain America should be at the top of this list. Also, it's really not a good time to be asking for this dude's resume. I mean, if I was getting mugged in an alleyway, but Bruce Lee suddenly appeared to help me defend myself, I wouldn't be like, excuse me, I'm in the middle of something, could you go away? I'd be like, well, this is certainly surprising, but I'm getting mugged right now, so I better take all the help I can get. A devil's advocate might argue that, in the heat of the moment, it's reasonable to have an adverse reaction like this. And yes, that is true, but I'm more so condemning this from a writing perspective. If the goal of this scene is to have Captain America use his leadership skills to rally the people, why would you write it like this? Why does the cop have to disrespect him? Why didn't they write it so the cops witness Cap in action before he talks to them? Why can't they just be grateful to get help from someone who's qualified to handle the situation? The way they wrote it makes you want to laugh at Captain America for even showing up. The doofy costume and awkward fight choreography doesn't help either. And before we move forward, I want to do a quick recap of what just happened. Cap, Widow, and Hawkeye land in the Quinjet. Widow and Hawkeye cover Cap as he runs over to the cop, and then Cap just immediately returns to Black Widow and Hawkeye? Like, huh? That's all you ran over there to do? You did this whole cool epic parkour sequence just to go talk to this one guy and come back? Did you do those same epic stunts in reverse? Like, I get that you're from another time, dude, but even back then they still had radio. Did you not have one of those on the Quinjet? I'm pretty sure Nick Fury could have done a more efficient job of giving orders all the way back from the helicarrier. Heck, even at the end of the film, you pretend to have a radio in your ear when there's clearly nothing there. But whatever, it's fine. Let's just relax and try to think more positively, because his big scene is coming up. Finally, a good moment to talk about where he does something right. The moment where Captain America finally distinguishes himself as the leader of the Avengers and gives out the orders. Except, wait. There's something wrong here. Blink and you won't hear it, but it's definitely there.
Call it, Captain.
Call it, Captain.
Iron Man orders Captain America to give the orders. He can't even have that. His one thing, and he doesn't even get to have it. There's not much else to really even say about that. Also, at no other point in the film do they really acknowledge Captain America as an authority figure for the team before or after this moment. So, this just kind of comes out of nowhere. This next major scene with Cap is probably the most offensive of all. The scene where he tries to save the civilians from the bomb. And man, he is really having a hard time fighting these nameless minions. He can barely take out just the 3 that are here. Again, just 3 faceless minions. Again, he's putting everything he has into winning this fight and he nearly dies. He doesn't even really save the civilians. The bomb went off in the building. He was just lucky that it didn't have a large enough blast radius to hurt anyone. He gets blown the hell out of the window and then he gets all sad. He's probably just embarrassed because of what just happened. What's even worse is that this is his most significant scene in the entire battle. Thor, Hulk, and Iron Man wipe the floor with the Chitauri. Black Widow gets to hijack a chariot and close the portal. Even Hawkeye gets to fly the Quinjet. He takes out Loki's chariot, and he also acts as an eye in the sky, directing the flow of the battle. Captain America gets ordered to order and barely takes out this random trio. It's easy to imagine dozens of other trios and dozens of other buildings doing the exact same thing. Couldn't they at least give him some kind of alien general for him to fight? Maybe they could utilize his leadership skills to continue to rally the military and police. Maybe all the other Avengers get worn out and consider giving up, but then Cap gives an inspiring speech to revitalize them and boost morale. It would give him a chance to show off his unyielding endurance. They could even do a nice callback and have him say something like, "We could do this all day." Or maybe, "Avengers Assemble." Just something to justify him being there. Since there's nothing he does in this battle that any other Avenger could also do just as well, if not better. Maybe, since they skipped over the Hulk learning to become a team player, they could have a scene of Cap being the one to figure out how to make the Hulk finally cooperate. There are countless possibilities. But no, instead we get scenes like this, where Cap and Thor fight side by side, only Cap gets wrecked and Thor makes it look easy. Thor has to check in on him like he's a child, and likewise has to ignore him when he gets defensive. Everything special about you came out of a bottle. What is special about Captain America in this movie? He isn't powerful, he isn't smart, he can barely win any of his fights, and he gets continually disrespected by both his peers and the general public. I am very much a fan of classic Marvel Comics, and I am very much a fan of Captain America as a character. This character represents what it means to be a true leader. What he lacks in power, he makes up for in resolve and endurance. He's supposed to be the hero that keeps fighting when others go down. He's supposed to be the hero that pulls strength out of others, even the strength they didn't know they had. He should be smart and mature, only fighting when he needs to, not arguing like a child when someone says something rude. If all the other Avengers are arguing amongst themselves, he should stand out as a voice of reason. If he's in over his head, he should still be cool and collected. He should know how to delegate. His leadership is a weapon he uses just as effectively as his shield. He's a super soldier. A fight with an average man should very much be an easy task for him. Oh, but he just got trapped in a bad angle where he couldn't get close without getting shot. Well, then don't write it that way. If you want a hero to be inspiring, or even just likable, don't make him struggle at performing an easy task just because you can't think of anything better for him to do. And if you can't think of anything better for him to do, then you're the wrong person for this job. It should be very easy to distinguish his strength when compared to someone like Hawkeye or Black Widow. That's how it should be, but none of that is in this film. Instead, we get to see him outwitted, overpowered, sad, and scared. He doesn't inspire confidence, he inspires pity. He is not cool and collected. He looks lost and helpless. We should be shocked by how much he does with so little, not shocked by how easy it is to beat him. He's not a wise leader, he's a helpless child. He's not the last man standing, he's the first one down. A lot of these issues that I talked about were ironed out in later films, but that doesn't justify the mess that started it all. With all that said, I hope I've made my point clear enough for everyone. Joss Whedon hates Captain America. Oh wait, I suppose Joss Whedon also directed Age of Ultron, but that whole movie sucks. So it'd be kind of redundant just to single out the Captain America scenes. I'll probably have to do a full breakdown of that one later on.